What's up, guys, and welcome back to the most inconsistent podcast about the worst team in MLS's Western Conference, SadFCDfans podcast. I'm your host, Matt Duell. And that's a depressing intro, but hey, it's fitting. I'm joined, as always, by my good friends, Walter and Joe. How's it going, y'all?
Good, man. It's depressing. Thank God it's almost Mental Health Awareness Month next month because, like I said before, the healthcare system in the United States is not good enough for me to continue to be a fan. It's hard. Anyway,
Joe, how's it going?
Literally everything outside of FC Dallas is wonderful. The vibes are immaculate. There's sunshine. The Mavs are winning.
I was gonna say, thank God for the Mavs.
Yeah, and then there's FC Dallas, who FC Dallas is it up.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Mavs, it would be a very depressing time in Dallas sports, considering there's no hockey. The Stars didn't make the playoffs, so obviously the Cowboy season hasn't started yet, which some might take as a positive, I guess.
We're in the Super Bowl this year.
Rangers are pretty below average, but I had a fun little sweep of the Astros over the weekend, so that was fun. And then, but man, the good old Mavericks with the 2-0 playoff season. I am going to the game Friday night. Just found that out today. So
how'd you get that ticket?
My brother bought a ticket for his wife, and she ended up not being able to go, and he asked me today, and I got the call up. So I did see people saying that they were getting like $10 single seats for Friday.
Oh, shit.
Like just one ticket in like the upper deck on like Ticketmaster Day. I looked, I couldn't find any. People said it was kind of glitchy, but I saw plenty of people that got a $10 single seat, which, I mean, if you're a person who's fine going places on your own, that's a pretty damn good deal for a regular season game, let alone a
all right, shut up about the Mavericks.
Well,
I want to know how the Rangers are doing. How are the Rangers doing?
Sad Rangers fan. I was literally just seeing a tweet about some guy who's comparing like the ownership of the Rangers and FC Dallas.
The dude tepid participation.
Yeah,
I had just pulled up that tweet.
That's funny. Yeah.
Wait, what does he say? What happened?
Anyway, so I'm gonna read it word for word real quick. FC Dallas currently has 5 of their former development academy players in the U.S. men's national team camp. Would have been 6, but Chris Richards is a bit hurt. None of them play for FC Dallas. They finished the 2019 season 22nd out of 24 teams in attendance. 2018 was 20 out of 23. And it's just funny. So he goes on a tangent, and I'll retweet it here in a bit, so you guys can read it yourself. This is apparently, from what I'm being told, it's a guy who's pretty much in the Ranger circles. Unfortunately, I hate baseball. I think baseball's fucking boring, but I love soccer, which is weird. But apparently he has his own podcast called the Diamond Pod, so maybe you guys might know what that is. So this is somebody who is on the outside looking in, and all the bullets that we as SadFCD fans typically hit about how this team doesn't advertise to anybody. There's no real kind of identity that they're trying to go for. And then there's always that one person who's always like, oh, but our academy. And he points that out too. It's like, that's always the rebuttal is our academy.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a long convoluted thing, but it just echoes basically what we say as fans every single week.
Yeah. I don't really get too bothered about like like our academy players all leave. It's like, yeah, that's how that works. Like,
that's the point. It's a business.
Yeah. If they were still here for their entire careers, they wouldn't be that good. That's a sign that they're not that great if they're staying here their entire careers. Anyway, So last time we recorded was the day before the Houston game, and we were all excited about maybe getting things back on track with a nice rivalry win. But sure enough, that didn't happen. FC Dallas tied Houston. Was it 1-1? And just one of those ties that definitely felt like a loss. It's just a real boring game that FC Dallas didn't really look like they just had nothing in the second half. It looked like both teams were definitely feeling it being an afternoon game, and the pace of the game died for the last 30 minutes. But the only real noteworthy things from that game were we saw a Shabbat Shun debut, which was surprising considering he had been here and trained with the team literally like twice. and Lucci threw him in there in a tie game in a situation where you need a goal. And he looked pretty lost out there a little bit, which is, expected if you're a kid playing with guys for the third time ever. But yeah, that's really all there was to take away from that. FC Dallas then headed to Minnesota and suffered a very heartbreaking, disappointing, whatever adjective you want to use, 1-0 loss and a last-minute goal off a corner kick. Thinking back to a couple weeks, I guess now, what were y'all's main takeaways from that game?
I want to give Joe the floor real quick because
Minnesota game.
Yes.
Yeah. It just felt like we were playing a formation that didn't need to be played again, and it actually kind of got adjusted slightly to accommodate the team a little bit more, since we weren't really playing with technically a 3-4-3. We were playing more of like a 3-5. No, it was more of like a 5-3-1-2.
Yeah,
5-3-1-2, which actually made more sense because none of our wingers on this team, Vargas nor Haddad, were really doing much when we were playing a 3-4-3, and so this would made more sense, and we had that extra midfielder with Ricarte as like the cam. But at the same time, it just feels like we're playing a 5-back when we don't need to be playing a 5-back, and it just kind of leaves our team basically just playing like meh against a team that was very meh. And then they just got a goal towards the end. That's just how it felt. And so you're just watching the whole game, just kind of like chewing on bricks the whole time. Would have been a more entertaining time, since it just looked like we could do nothing against a team that couldn't really do much. And then they just got the fortunate goal because they got the extra bounce at home. And it just is what it is.
Not good.
Minnesota's
not good this year.
No.
So
and
far.
we joked about it too a couple of weeks before the game, saying, "Hey, look at." Yeah, like it's either going to be a game where we bust out of it feeling good or they bust out of it feeling good. And, it's the SadFCD podcast for a reason. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts about it. I hated the whole experience of it. And then the substitutions were, I guess we can call them mind-boggling or whatever, but you guys can get into that.
I mean, they introduced Shun again.
As a wingback.
As a wingback.
Yeah.
And this was probably, I mean, at this point, the game was still kind of flat. I keep saying flat. I just don't know. I don't know what else to describe it. Is it the formation? Is it the tactics behind the formation? Is it the personnel? On paper, you look at our lineup, and really the only person that maybe kind of doesn't stand out as much as maybe Munjoma. Like, even then, he's coming to his own. But then you look at Minnesota's lineup, and the only person that really ever stands out is maybe Will Trapp, and that's it. Like, everybody else on paper, you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, fine. Like, this shouldn't be that hard of a game.
Reynoso.
So yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, that's
this year.
That's supposed to be their marquee acquisition, but I mean, even then, it's not really helping that much.
I like Reynoso
at that point. Yeah, he's what they need, obviously. But then Pepe comes on. I think Sealy came on in the last 10 minutes of the game too.
Yeah,
it was
late.
And I mean, yeah. I mean, give the kid 10 minutes. You saw what he did the last time. He came on the field. He scored. Almost immediately. So why not give it a shot? It's just so flat, and I don't have any other words to describe it. The funny thing is, and Matt had the brilliant idea of, like, right after the game to have a therapy session. We were talking to some of you guys, on the call here, just kind of talking to each other, kind of vibing and seeing what's going on and what other people are kind of observing themselves. It's not it's not the fact that they lost. It's how they went about losing. It's how they go about tying these games, or end up tying these games, or, losing in extra time off a corner kick is, I don't know, it's kind of a spectacular way to go out. But SadFCDfans podcast.
Yeah, and even the way they conceded on that corner kick was just like a little bit of miscommunication from Felipe and Martinez, where it looked like Martinez was on the post, which good. I hate when teams don't put people on the post, and so Felipe like kind of dove for it but couldn't get to it, like kind of like pulled out a little bit from it, and then Martinez I guess thought Felipe was going to grab the ball off whenever the ball just kind of fell to Martinez's feet, and Felipe didn't get it, and then Minnesota literally just like taps it into the net from 1 yard out in like the 91st minute to win the game. And but yeah, like you said, it was the way that they played. I don't really think it was as much the formation itself as it was the players in the formation. Like the problem was they're playing Obrian as a striker, and he's clearly like a winger. But the only reason they're playing him is because he's one of the only dudes who scored any freaking goals for the team. You know, like before that game, let's see, he scored against Houston, and then he scored the game before that as well. So he's on a, 2 games in a row where he had scored, I think, unless I'm missing it. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah.
No, he went back to back before that game.
Yeah. So he was in good form. So I get why they started him, but he looked like he had never played as a striker in his entire life, which apparently he played plenty of like striker in Colombia. But he was offside, I think, I'm not even exaggerating, maybe 6 times in the game. And that might've just been the first half. And then Hara a couple times as well. Like neither of them like could hold their runs. And then also plenty of times where they would get in really good spots to where they would break the ball, like break it up and then quickly get it into the attack, and then just bad decisions or a bad touch, or hey, you're just standing 5 yards offside. Sometimes it's just a dude waits too long to pass it, but that game was so winnable. Because like you said, Minnesota is not great this year. I think they have the exact same record as FC Dallas right now, or as points wise.
That's the kind of dialogue that Adrian Heath doesn't want to hear right now, is how they're always the underdogs and we're always talking shit about Minnesota. Well, there you go. Yeah. But it turned out that we were the slump buster because now they've won twice. So
good old FC Dallas, just helping out those in need. You can always count on them. But yeah, in that game, you hit on it earlier. The Schoen substitution he looked, like I said, he looked lost in the Houston game a little bit. He looked like a lost blind kid in the Minnesota game, to where he had no idea what's going on. I heard that he had played left back a couple times for his team in Hungary, but it looked like he had never played anything close to that position his entire career, to where Minnesota were smart and literally just started abusing that left side of FC Dallas once Schoen came on, and very obviously looked lost and just abused that left side and just started overloading it and beating him and running in behind him, and he's spinning around looking like he lost his glasses on the ground. And sure enough, Minnesota got rewarded late on, and FC Dallas comes away from a game that was incredibly winnable. We saw Obrian had that header on like basically an empty net. Remember, where Hara laid a header off for him and Obrian just hit it straight into the ground from 5 yards out and missed it. So they came away with 0 points from a game where they very easily could have stole 3 on the road. And that took us into the last week's home game against RSL, which, well, on the bright side, it wasn't a boring game. If you're a neutral or I guess even a fan, it was a fun game.
If you're a Houston fan or a Colorado fan, I'm sure it was pretty good. No.
Salt Lake probably would
if you're a
take
Houston fan. Yeah.
Salt Lake would probably take the tie. But, yep, another tie at home. The 4th tie at home? Or how many home games have they played so far?
3?
4 at least.
Portland, Houston,
Houston, Colorado, Salt Lake.
Okay, 4, yeah.
And so they've won one of them against a USL League One team. They won at home, and then they've tied 3 games at home. And then you can pretty much count on them to lose on the road. So that's why it's such a nut punch when you drop points at home, when you suck ass on the road every time. And FC Dallas drops more points. Walter, what were your key or main takeaways from that Salt Lake game?
We need a bench Hara.
But he scored. He's the man of the match.
You want to get into that real quick? How Ryan Hollingshead got fucking, what's the word I'm looking for?
Robbed.
He got robbed.
Shafted.
He got robbed, curb stomped, and then they peed on his body, ran away, and just anyway. Whatever.
At least MLS honored him and gave him a Team of the Week spot.
Yes, yeah,
But
and
he
that's
wasn't
really
even
the
man of the match.
that's really the only metric that matters to me. Really, is Team of the Week. So, our best striker right now is Ryan Hollingshead, and damn, that's just play hard in the two. Play him in a 2-forward system. Just play him in a 2-forward system. If you're going to try all these balls to the wall, bonkers formations, try him. Matt Hedges had a bad game. I'm sorry to tell you. We kind of went over this a little bit, so I know it's no surprise to you, but Matt Hedges had a bad game. It was very wet. There was a lot of sliding around.
Yeah, the conditions weren't great for either team, obviously, but yeah, it was a lot of slipping and sliding around in that game, and a lot of balls that are just flying away from dudes once they hit the grass.
None of them from Brian Acosta, though, which I'm very sad I didn't get pelted with the game ball so I could take it home. But
Or David or Ochoa didn't turn around and kick one at you even.
I was waiting for it. I got Justin Mears attention though. That was pretty cool. That dude's a legend.
Yeah, I like him.
Anyway, yeah.
Joe, what were your RSL game takeaways? 2-1. You can go ahead and just start whenever, Joe.
Yeah, basically this RSL game was more exciting than the Minnesota game, but again, the results were just meh because we switched back to a 4-back, which I really enjoyed. We switched back to basically a 4-2-3-1, which I really enjoyed. But when players like, I don't want to mascara it, but Vargas is not doing what we need him to do, and Haddad is kind of being meh on the wings, and so we just weren't able to really take advantage of really scoring anything the entire game. And if it wasn't for Hollingshead being able to push up and down that whole left side, we might have not have had an attack the whole game. And I think Matt just kind of returned from an injury a little bit too quickly, which never made sense to me. I think that was the most frustrating part about us playing a 3-back for so long. It's just if you have only 3 center backs and no reserves behind them, plus one of your center backs being hurt, why in the hell are you playing all 3? Just play a 4-back that most people are comfortable with, that you can have that extra midfielder in there so that you can even bring some pressure off of your back line. But anyways, that's a little tangent. I think on the last goal, to me, it looked deflected. Matt was off kilter and a little bit out of position, but it wasn't just him. I think that ball got deflected because it dipped really nastily to where it kind of looked it didn't look normal in terms of a cross. Most of those balls get floated in to where people have time to recover, and it just looked like a dip right in front of I don't even remember who it was for RSL, but it was just one of those games where FC Dallas didn't play good enough to take advantage of the moments that they had, to which a 2-2 draw was just kind of like the result that should have happened, and it did, which sucks because we haven't done anything good all season.
The first goal, Matt got turned out of his shoes by Rubio Rubin, who has been incredible to start the year for Salt Lake. I don't think too many people saw that coming based off of the last couple of years of his club career.
He was almost at the league at this point, too.
He was in the USL, playing for, I think he played for El Paso, last year. Or maybe it was San Diego Loyal, who are, I forgot if they're the championship or if USL League One. I think they're championship. But anyway, Matt got turned out of his shoes, where he just turned around and went the wrong way, and then by the time he turned back around, Rubin shot it with his left, and it was a good finish. The second one, I'm gonna put some the main blame on Jimmy there. That ball landed in his 6-yard box, and he just stayed home the entire time and just didn't react to it at all. It took a deflection, but I mean, he's got to see that the entire way, and I mean, if it's in your 6-yard box, that's yours as a keeper all day. But I mean, it's so frustrating that we finally see FC Dallas score more than one goal in a game, and then they also decide to give up 2 goals that day. So it's just a case of we can't seem to get the offense and defense going on the same days, which it's a pretty bad recipe for winning soccer games if your offense and defense can't both be good at the same time. So I'm trying to think, what were the subs? Paxton made a huge difference.
Huge difference. A little concerning before you jump into Paxton real quick, because I'm
Mhm.
going to start gushing about Paxton. Martinez got subbed off about 30 minutes before the game
Yeah, he
ended.
looked like he was a little hurt.
Yeah, he looked a little hurt, a little gassed. And then Shun made another appearance later on. But Pomacall, how did that injection of energy look? Because, I mean, he came on 10 minutes later. He provides an assist for Ryan's goal. But
Yeah,
I miss that damn kid playing full time.
He plays with an energy and passion that the team desperately needs. And I think if there weren't any injury concerns or anything like that about him, that he would obviously be a starter on this team. And I said this in the Twitter space we did the other day, and like I know we all want to see Paxton in the midfield and stuff, but the truth is he is 100% without a doubt our best winger right now. Like if you put him out there, he's better than Vargas, Obrian. That may not be a compliment to Paxton as much as it is a slight to the actual wingers on this team, but right now our best wingers are not wingers. They're Ryan Hollingshead and Paxton Pomacall. Those are our best wingers right now, a left back and a midfielder. And Paxton came on, and obviously him and Ryan linked up on the second goal. And as Joe said earlier about the Mavs, the vibes were immaculate at Toyota Stadium because we all thought Ryan had grabbed a late winner, and then literally right after Salt Lake scored, it was so bad that I literally like laughed out loud at the stadium and just sat down in my chair and just shook my head.
It's funny because I did the exact same thing.
Because I was
just laughing.
I wasn't really shocked. It was just kind of of course that happened.
Yeah.
And then they never really got too close to scoring again after that. Yeah, really the main takeaway I had from that game was they went to the back four, and I thought it was the best game that Munjoma has had this year. He looked a lot more comfortable going forward. And Vargas still is yet to get on the score sheet or anything, but
I think he did a lot better.
Yeah,
he was a lot more active.
He had a couple moments that we haven't really seen from him so far this year, but it was more like what we saw in the preseason of just driving at dudes, getting the ball wide, taking guys one-on-one, and getting crosses in or getting shots off. And Obrian had that one run where he just chopped and fake shotted 3 times in a row from his left foot to his right foot, and then his right foot to his left foot, and beat 3 defenders, and then the cross just got cleared out. So I mean, there were some positives to take from it, but just a couple of just lapses on defense, and give credit to Salt Lake. I mean, if you look at all the stats and all the metrics in that game, they all led to making you believe FC Dallas should have won that game. I don't know if you guys are big XG guys, but I forgot what it was. It was 3.87 to 0.86 or something like that.
At half, it was 0.2 something to it was 2.2 or something like that for FC Dallas.
Jeez.
And then RSL's XG was 0.25 or something like that. It's stupid. I like seeing the XG because it's actually I like that stat because I mean it's taking the deep analytics of the game and saying this is how many you should have scored, you dumbass, but you didn't.
What do you guys remember? I'm trying to remember. How did FC Dallas get the penalty? Was it a foul, right? It wasn't a handball. Someone took out. Oh yeah, that's right. Someone just slid in from behind on Salt Lake and just kind of caught. I forgot who it was that he took down. It might have been Hara.
Yeah, I think it might have been Hara. It was at the other end of the field. I couldn't see who it was.
I didn't watch the highlights of that game afterwards just because I couldn't be fucking bothered to. I usually watch the highlights back after every game, but after that one, I just wanted to forget it. And so Hara scored, guys. So worth every penny, boys.
I think that took his average down to about 300,000 per goal. So
I need to crunch the numbers again because that was several games ago. So maybe the numbers about broke even. But
is that his first of the season?
Yes.
Oh wow!
I'm trying to think when the last time he scored was last season.
It's
congratulations.
Who cares?
It definitely wasn't
2.2 per goal this season though. That's an expensive mark.
Well, we since we were joking about a salary, I guess we did want to hit on that. I mean, that was really the biggest news of the last 2 weeks, considering. I mean, if that's the biggest news is the salary drops, then it's probably not a good sign, because that means someone is either getting incredibly underpaid, or in this case, incredibly overpaid. As it came down that Walter, you have the numbers up. Give me the exact numbers on Franco Jara's contract for FC Dallas.
Franco Jara's contract base salary $2.29 million.
Woo,
And then drop that guaranteed.
Guaranteed is
number for me.
2.977 or $2,977,000.00.
You can't tell because this is audio.
Speaking of
only,
0 cents,
but I'm banging my head into the mic right now.
speaking of 0 cents, Franco Jara makes more than Nico Lodero.
Rui Diaz too, right?
Where's Rui? No, hold
I
on.
think Rui Diaz makes 2.2. I think I remember.
He makes more than Rui Diaz.
Yeah, he does. Holy shit. Makes more than Sebastian Blanco, Albert Rusnak. He makes more than Jonathan Dos Santos.
I think I can almost name all the players he makes less than, because I think he's the 10th highest played player in the league.
Yes,
I know that.
Yes.
So it's
crazy.
Chicharito, Carlos Vela,
that's
Josie,
number one.
Josie,
Yes.
Carlos Vela, Chicharito. Michael Bradley's up there, right?
No.
Michael Bradley's not. I guess he might have gotten
No.
a new deal. Higuain.
Yeah.
Gonzalo Higuain, I should say.
Yeah. Gonzalo, yes.
Pozuelo.
Is Matuidi up there?
No.
Here,
Brenner?
I got you.
No.
Oh, he was just a big transfer. But let's see.
All right. You guys want me to tell you the top 10?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had Vela, Chicharito,
2.
Higuain, number 4.
Higuain's number 2.
Oh, Higuain's number 3.
Chicharito's 1, and then Vela's 2, and then Higuain's 3.
No, Vela's 1.
Vela's 1, sorry. Chicharito's 2.
Well, there's two different numbers. There's base, and then there's guaranteed.
Oh, I'm going off guaranteed.
Let's do
Okay,
guaranteed.
I did guaranteed.
Okay.
Yeah, because then you're right.
Guaranteed. First is Vela.
Mm-hmm.
Second is Chicharito. Third is Gonzalo Higuain. Fourth is Pozuelo. Fifth is Martinez.
Joseph Martinez.
Oh, I forgot about him. Duh.
Sixth,
Not Jose Martinez. It's
No.
Joseph Martinez.
no.
F's in the chat.
Josie is 7th.
I think I said
Pizarro
those, right?
is 8th.
Oh, Pizarro, yes.
Maxi Morales is 9th. Or I'm probably a number off. Wanyama, and then there's Jara.
Yep.
I think we would all agree that all of those players, for the most part, are all of them really are better than Jara. I mean, for Josie, you could argue, oh, he's always hurt, but when he's healthy, he is 100% a better player than Franco
He is
Jara.
100% that bitch.
Yeah, but
The
that
only
win
one
is it's a big
Wanyama, I
diff.
think, to me, just because it's a lot of money first.
Lodero, Nani,
Yeah.
Blanco, he makes more than Alan Pulido.
He makes more than Nani. Wow.
He makes more than Nani, Gustavo Bo,
Barrich.
Jurgen Damm. I mean, I'm not intentionally pointing out Mexicans, but
Jurgen Damm's contract's pretty bad too. So
Maxi Rudy still makes a lot of bank, though. Maxi Rudy's up there too.
Maxi makes over $1 million, right?
Yeah, he does.
Jesus.
Jurgen Damm's salary is straight up robbery. That's insane to me.
Yeah, he has not been good for Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think the two worst contracts in the league are back to back for Franco Jara and Jurgen Locadia.
Oh, from Cincinnati.
I would actually argue a step up. I would maybe say Wanyama and Jara. I know Wanyama's seasoned and international legend, but not for guaranteed almost 3.1 mil.
I think that's more of like his position. That's a shitload of money to spend on a CDM.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a hat trick of names. Wanyama, Jara, and Locadia at $3 million basically for all three is kind of insane.
Yeah.
And obviously, like part of the money comes in as name recognition. Like Wanyama isn't exactly a guy who's going to like sell seats, like people aren't coming out to see the Victor Wanyama show, but he was a guy who was like a pretty key part of a Tottenham team that was playing in the Champions League final, like right before he came here, as opposed to Franco Jara was playing for fucking Pachuca. It's a little different.
It's a little different. It's still a championship-ish team back in the day. I say back in the day, they still in a sense are. But it's crazy to me because then on the flip side, they're going to be like, well, you guys talk about, you want to spend money and we're going to pick up a guy from Pachuca. Okay, that's great. That's great. Then go ahead and try to sell tickets to the Pachuca fans that were in the stick, because I don't know if you guys were at the games that were played here with Pachuca. There was a sizable crowd of Pachuca fans.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole different dimension to looking at all this. But yes, expensive as shit.
But the weird part about it too, though, is that I'm always a little bit optimistic when we get a signing. But if you like kind of just felt the vibes of around the time that we got Jara, most of the people that are Pachuca fans were wanting him to leave. At this point, they were like, "Thank you for what you did, but your legs aren't there anymore."
Yeah.
And so basically, and personally, I don't like to count people's pockets, and so good for him for getting that big of a contract.
Get that money.
But all of this blame has to go on our front office for just being fucking dumbasses, because you're paying a aging, legless, 30-something-year-old player to anchor your club, and he's taking up 25% of your contracts of salaries to be this bad. It's a terrible signing. It's a terrible wage gap between him and our second highest paid player. It just doesn't make any sense, and it's just terrible all the way around.
You inspire me to look at the next highest player, which I would say I'm assuming it's Matt Hedges.
850.
Yeah, he's in the 800s, I believe.
I do want to say, to Joe's point,
holy shit, it's $2 million difference.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
To Joe's point about the front office thing, this is 100% Dan Hunt. 100%. Listen to Dan Hunt talk about Franco Jara, and you could almost hear his erection hitting through the screen when talking about Franco Jara, because he scored on us 4 years ago playing for Pachuca when he was 4 years younger, which you might think, 4 years isn't that long. It makes a big difference when you're going from like 28 to 32. Yeah. Those 4 years are kind of when the legs start going a little bit, and the stomach starts picking up a little bit in Jara's case. It's so clear that this is 100% a him move. The moves that are Zanota moves are guys like Thiago Santos or Shun, or I guess Cobra was one of his moves. Those are more of the Zanota types, the guys who you can maybe flip for a profit. This was 100% Dan Hunt's move, and I'm sure he would gladly tell you about it a year ago. That he's like, I was so excited to make this happen. Now he might try to be a little more like, we thought it was a good idea. Blah, blah. Nah, dude, this was your soccer boner for this guy who scored on you 4 years ago, and you didn't want to spend the money to bring him in right after that, because you would have to actually pay a transfer fee as well as his big salary. So you waited until he was 31 years old so that you could get him for free. And then instead of spending money on a transfer fee, you just paid him a ridiculous salary to make up for the fact that you're getting him for free, when maybe there's a reason the team he's coming from was more than happy to let him go,
Yeah. There was a big reason why Pachuca were just like, yeah, sure, take him.
Yeah, he's a legend for them, but they were also like, like Joe said, it's like, thank you, but we're ready to move on. Mm-hmm. All good things have to come to an end.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how much we paid for Danilo back in the day. It screamed, or not Danilo, sorry, Danilson. Yeah.
I think he was at like $500K, which at that time it's
a lot for MLS player, aging MLS player. Let's see. So he's 43 now. That was 14 years ago. So he was 29. Okay, maybe it's not too bad, but yeah, that's a lot of money to splash.
How about Dulio Divino make? I'm just kidding.
I can look that up. That's fine.
Divino was close to. No, actually, I think Denilson was more than that. Davino was the one that was like $400K, which is just absurd or something at the time.
I want to say Denilson made over $1 million from what I remember. And that was like because that was like he was FC Dallas' first designated player, and so it was whoa, this is cool. This is what we can use this money on. And he played half a season here and scored one goal.
Anyway,
let's Walter.
You see who the third highest player is?
Martinez, right?
Nope, he's fourth. It's Acosta.
Oh god.
We have to do it once. We had to do it once on this podcast.
Which he's playing up to that contract right now. But
yeah, he's been FC Dallas' best player so far this season, besides maybe I don't know, Ryan or something. I'd say Acosta has been the best player so far. But yeah, if only he could have done this last year, then this team probably could have been pretty good last year. But now everyone else sucks, and Costa's been pretty good. So Costa's third. You said Martinez is fourth, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, fifth. Is it
Paxton?
Paxton.
Paxton.
Ooh.
Guaranteed
Jesus,
600K.
sixth.
Seventh. Brisson is sixth.
Brisson. Okay, I knew Brisson
Right
was
under.
up there. And then
Yeah. Jesus.
how much is Brisson
Jesus.
on?
Brisson is 582.
So
Guaranteed.
three of FC Dallas. So FC Dallas has three center backs that are in the top 5 highest paid players on the team.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep.
Hey,
Six.
maybe that's why we're playing all
Yeah.
three at the exact same time.
So if you're wondering why they want to keep playing a 3 at the back or 3 center backs with Hara starting, maybe it's because 4 of those guys are make up the 5 highest paid players on the team.
Oh my!
Ryan Hollingshead is still a fucking steal to this day.
Yes.
346,000. That man is a steal. That man, like Joe, and I always think about this. Joe called him a cheat code. That's probably the best encapsulation of him.
He's a good bargain.
Ryan
I'd say that. He's a bang for your buck for sure.
Let's see.
That's one of the best contracts in the
Felipe.
league.
Yeah. I was looking at Felipe just because I'm curious. 176. Not bad.
They do have to use they use an international spot on a backup goalie, which is crazy to a lot of people. But I mean,
Jimmy Mara is doing his thing.
He's
so.
making more than Mar, which I think
Yeah, he is.
I think Mar deserves a huge raise.
Yeah.
I think Mars
Get
just
some
signed
money
a new
for keepers,
contract,
man.
right?
So that's the thing. Jimmy's base salary is higher than Felipe's, but his guaranteed is lower than Felipe's. So
I think Felipe still is just like an investment kind of signing.
Oh yeah,
Is what it seems like.
I mean, he's good.
Yeah, he's shown that
like
he's
what else? I don't. Yeah.
he's decent. He's
He's an international caliber in a bit,
yeah,
couple of years
he
maybe.
can-
I don't know.
He can play in MLS. He's shown that, but Jimmy's
Yeah.
also good to where now FC Dallas kind of has 2 starting quality goalies, which isn't a bad thing. But you know, I forgot what Felipe's deal is. I think they just re-upped him for 1 more year on loan with the option to buy him.
Yeah,
I think he's not going to be called up for Brazil. It seems like I think he didn't make their camp for the Olympics, so that chance of putting him in the shop window in front of some big clubs was missed out on, which kind of sucks for FC Dallas from the sense of possibly selling him. But
for the price of keeping him though, and I mean that's probably not bad if they are looking for him in the long run.
yeah, and like I said, it's just a loan with an option to buy, so they could just say, yeah, well, it was a good run, but we'll go ahead and let you go. And it's not much of an investment they made into it besides paying his, what do you say, like 100,000 a year. I guess speaking of international duty, there is some bright side to everything with FC Dallas right now. After this weekend, we don't have to watch him play for 2 weeks, so that's good.
But they're keeping me employed on this podcast, so what's going to happen?
We're gonna turn into the hopefully not sad USA fans or Mexico fans or whatever podcast. But yeah, Acosta's going to be gone with Honduras. Shun, if he makes the Hungary squad, that could be big for maybe a potential future sale of him, regardless of how he plays for FC Dallas. If he's playing at the Euros, the group that they're in, I think it's Portugal, Germany, France, and Hungary.
So a lot of exposure.
Yeah. So talk about a group of death, and something tells me that Hungary might be the underdogs in that group.
I think he'll come back pretty early, don't you think?
Yeah, that's probably
Best of luck to Shun. Hopefully,
if he does make it. Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully he knocks one past Neuer or Ter Stegen, whoever's
Lloris and
somebody.
Hopefully, he gets a cool swap jersey at the end of the game. From somebody really good.
when Ronaldo comes up to him begging for his shirt after Hungary wins. Hungary wins 2-1 on a last minute goal from.
He's going to come up to him and say, "Hey, I'm a huge fan of your MLS team."
I didn't see if Czech Republic released their roster. Cobra was looking like he was going to be in that team pre-COVID, and then he kind of fell out of the picture after COVID, and because FC Dallas kind of stopped playing him too. But man, I was really looking forward to hopefully cheering for him in the Euros.
I liked all the goals he was scoring at the end of last season and hearing it in whatever language it is that they were coming in. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram, and he still posts his goals and stuff. It looks like he's doing pretty well over in back home in the Czech Republic. But yeah, Costa will be with Honduras for the upcoming Nations League. The Gold Cup isn't until late June or early July, I think. And since there's a Nations League this year, it seems like all the big teams in CONCACAF that are in the Nations League semifinals, so Costa Rica, Honduras, USA, Mexico, they're probably going to roll out a B team, if you will, for the Gold Cup because qualifying starts in the fall. So they don't want to have their guys playing all the way through the off season and then going back to their clubs and starting the season with like playing a year straight with no breaks. So and then same thing with the Olympics. That's why like the U.S. was never going to send their best players to the Olympics just because of the timing of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And but Acosta, I wouldn't be surprised if you maybe see guys like Tanner Tessman on the or maybe if Jesus gets healthy and starts playing well for FC Dallas, man, they could use him. But it seems like he's still a couple weeks away from returning. That injury is maybe keeping him out a little longer. I wouldn't be surprised to see guys like Jesus or Tanner in the at the Gold Cup at the U.S. That would be kind of cool to see.
Paxton.
I don't know, I feel like FC Dallas are just so scared to unleash him that they would probably do everything possible to keep him.
Just to give everybody else a shot is what you're saying.
Yes, they want to keep Paxton at home, wrapped up, and
well, I mean, they're going to play two of the games here, right? So why not just put him in a plastic bubble and then helicopter him over Jerry Jones's helicopter,
airlift,
and take him, airlift him.
I heard Dan Hunt is actually sharing bunk beds with Paxton just to make sure that he's safe throughout the night, and he leans down from the top bunk throughout the night just to check on him, and then kisses him on the forehead, and then rolls back over and goes to sleep.
Sucks him in.
Yeah, shh, it's okay, little Paxton. You go to sleep, buddy. Yeah, he protects him from the monsters throughout the night. Going back to the contracts, you guys Joe had a good idea before we started recording, talking about some bargains and some busts on the FCD salaries. So I think we all know the biggest bust is Frank O'Hara making it kills me to say it, almost $3 million. And this is what pissed me off the most, as you said, 10th most. And this is something I've said numerous times over the years. It's not that FC Dallas doesn't spend money. They don't know how to spend money. You finally break the bank and you do it for a 31-year-old guy coming from Liga MX who scores all of his goals on fucking penalties. Oh, God. That ruined my day when they released those salaries and all of us figured out how much he was making. Because I don't know why, I thought he was making 1.2, which is still hard to swallow. Yeah, for him. But oh my God, when I saw he was making almost $3 million a year, I almost threw up at my desk. It ruined my day. I was pissed for the rest of that morning. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, dude, Frank O'Hara is making $3 million while I'm making as much as I make to do my job.
Yeah, I think that was a really fun day in MLS.
Salary
day
in all the locker rooms.
It always
is.
But I just, it's got to be crazy to be like Ricardo Pepi on the bench making 90, being like, yeah, I'm better than this guy, and he's making about 15 times my salary or whatever it is.
Oh, dude, 100%. The players think that shit. MLS is kind of annoying to where they are kind of secretive about exact numbers and shit. They don't like to release transfer value, transfer amounts and stuff like that, and salaries until it's one day, they release all of them. And 100% guys in the locker room are talking about, did you see Franco makes $3 million a year? I'm like, dude, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. And MLS is still young, and I guess in a sense globally small enough to where there are significant differences in compensation, or at least to the point where in other leagues, even if you're the lowest paid player in your league, you're still probably making a lot more than some of the higher players in MLS, and so it won't bother you as much. But here, if you're making, let's say 5 years ago, you were making, I don't know, 25K, barely making a living, and
your teammate is David Beckham,
or Imagara or whatever his name was from San Jose, who never even touched the pitch and was making 1.5 million. You would probably not want to. It would probably ruin your day as well.
When you're parking your 98 Civic next to his brand new
Ferrari or whatever.
Ferrari or a Lambo or whatever, you're in this is fun.
Yeah. I wanted to point out a couple things before we go into like the busts or the deals or whatever. If you want to understand maybe why we're still playing people and paying people in specific positions, we brought in Jader O'Brien, and he's making about $450,000, which is a pretty good salary for where he's at. And Freddie Vargas is at 185. So if you see over the next couple of months where it's like we're playing different people at that left wing spot where Vargas is at, it's because they're going to want to play Jader at that right wing spot because they're paying him to play there. Same thing with like why we're continuing to play Brisson and all of these 3 center backs. It's because we have money in these specific spots. And so maybe that's even why Shun is getting all of this playing time, because they're like, hey, we made this significant investment that they still haven't told us how much they paid for him or how much they're paying him. Yeah. And we want to just get him exposure at the Euros, hopefully, and then flip him. And I feel like there's some little, home cooking in terms of like why Lucci is even playing these types of formations and playing these specific players at these specific times, to where I feel like there's a lot more people's hands in the kitchen than there should be, and which is a bigger result to why we're playing the way we're playing, in my opinion. And I don't want to get too like tinfoil hatty, but the numbers are there, and we're all grown-ups. We all understand how the world works,
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I've been trying to tell that to people who are on the Lucci out train, is that like, sure, you can get rid of Lucci and bring someone else in, but it doesn't change the roster that he's been given. And like, yeah, Lucci's probably playing a lot of yes man for his bosses because he knows that if he gets fired, he's not getting another job in MLS. Lucci is, I would bet everything that I own that Lucci is probably the lowest paid coach in the league, because he wasn't even meant to be the head coach. He was supposed to be the coach for North Texas, and then they probably wanted Tab Ramos wanted to come here, and then they told him how much the job was going to pay, and he said, yeah, fuck that, I'll go coach Houston. I'm good. And then they're like, well, all that's left is Lucci now. So Lucci, congrats, buddy, you got promoted, and you're going to coach the first team, and it's probably about 5 years too soon. And, we had the last 2 years, maybe Lucci, maybe he's kind of over succeeding for himself. And now is when we're really going to see what he's made of, when shit hits the fan. And I mean, obviously they could find a coach who could probably get a little more out of this group that they currently have, but no coach is going to walk in here and turn this team into MLS Cup favorites, with no like additional players coming in. Lucci isn't a magician, and
it's harsh. We talked about this a bit on our therapy session on Saturday, and you echoed it word for word. Is Lucci's not going to get a job elsewhere? So if you know you're not going to get a job elsewhere, or no one's going to hire you, you might as well just keep doing what the boss says and keep playing his $3 million man. Yeah, keep your job. There's a lot of other jobs out there, but not probably for him. So, and it's very shitty to say, but it is what it is. You have people like Bruce Arena. You have people like you said. You have Tab Ramos. You have Oscar Pereira. You have, and God, who's the coach for San Jose? It doesn't matter. You have people like that who are leagues above you, with international history. And then there's Luchi Gonzalez, which keep doing what you're doing, keep the hustle, make your fucking checks every fucking week, do what you can. But it kind of sucks to be in that position. And again, it all goes back to who's the one cutting the checks. So
yeah, it's hard to be successful when you have like basically derpy Al Davis as your owner, just messing everything up. And I don't want Lucci out. I want him to succeed. It's tough. Davis. It's just tough when you're dealt a bad hand,
As a childhood Raiders fan, that brought me so much joy. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Except Dan doesn't have enough hair to rock the Al Davis haircut. Actually,
Swagless Al Davis, basically. Just
he's just a sweaty Al Davis.
Yeah. Shit.
All right, we can hop into the. I guess we should look at the bottom of that list of salaries for the next part. Go down from the bottom and see what players jump off the list to you in terms of that's surprising that he's only making that little.
You want to start off with one?
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Mhm.
I like, and I kind of went on this. I like Felipe for a youth international goalkeeper with a lot of ceiling. 150 base salary is not that bad. But then I totally look past Freddy Vargas too, because Freddy Vargas also has a very high ceiling, and we've seen what he can do. 160 is not that bad. Who's overpaid? Nothing against John Nelson, and it's not much, like $3,000, but guaranteed more than Tanner Chessman. Tanner Chessman needs a bump. That kid gave up a future of potential millions of dollars just to kick a ball, and he's only making $115,000 guaranteed.
Hey, that's a lot of money for homegrown on his first contract.
It is. Yeah.
But what would your first contract on an NFL team coming from a history school like Clemson?
Well, how do we know he's going to make the
right
NFL? He never even kicked a ball in high school. He's got a strong leg, but we have no actual. I don't think anyone really knows if he was actually.
I thought. See, I wasn't. It goes to show you how much I know about him, because I thought he was well known as a kicker, but I guess not.
He went to a camp, and he was good, but yeah.
Yeah, either way, if things don't really work out, you can just go the Josh Lambo route and try it out, and
go to college,
make a couple
26.
million. Yeah, I mean, Josh Lambo did it and had a fairly successful, actually a really successful NFL career considering everybody that goes through it. Numbers wise, a really weird one that I think I would point out would be Justin Che, just because he's probably never going to play an MLS minute in the league, and he's only making 80 to 89K, but we're probably going to sell him to Bayern Munich for a couple million. And I feel like that's one that's just kind of like, okay, good for them. That's good business.
U.S. men's national team player, Justin Che.
Justin Che, yeah. But if we're talking about the team, I'm kind of on the opposite side of Walter, where I'm thinking Jimmy Marr has, I think because of what he has played for us for the past 2 seasons, that 160K, I want that man to get paid. I want him to get a nice paycheck, for those last couple of seasons.
I wonder if that's maybe just an age and goalie thing that's why he's making that much. He was like
it definitely is.
Yeah, goalies don't get the respect. Hey, I don't get no respect. I mean, hell,
no respect.
I tell you, that's a good point. On you brought up Che. I think the reports for that FC Dallas wanted $3 to $4 million for Che from Bayern after they gave Richards up for like $1 million, and they still wanted like a big sell-on clause. Yeah, and so they were like, hey, they saw how quickly Richards just kind of skyrocketed, and they're like thinking, damn, we probably could have gotten more for him in hindsight. And they're like, we're not going to let that happen this time with Che. So we went $3 to $4 million up front, as well as 25% or whatever from whatever future sale. So FC Dallas could make some pretty good cash on a Richardson native local support. Yeah, Richardson gang, Justin Che. So good for him getting a call up to the national team and maybe signing with Bayern Munich. Anyone else that pops out on that list to y'all?
Look at Don. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm on the wrong tab. Sorry.
I mean, he's a steal on that rookie contract, being one of the best players in the league. That's why you got to take advantage of it.
I mean, that's everything else seems as it should be. Like, of course, our homegrowns and our backup goalkeeper tend to be on the bottom, as we've seen it. For arguably a number 10, Ricarte for almost $500,000 is, I guess, not terrible. He's good.
It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay. Jesus though, Jesus for 550. I don't know.
Those are those ones
that conversion rate's good.
Those ones, like the homegrown ones, don't even count against your cap, to where it's just like those are all just for transfers. It's just like we're going to pay you this much, to where that way teams have to pay you more when they want to buy you because they're like, oh, he's got 1 year left on his contract, making $80,000 a year. Why the hell are we going to spend $8 million on this kid? As opposed to, oh, you've got a 5-year deal where you're making $600,000 a year. We better drop some cash to buy this kid. So
they better bump up Cervanius. That Cervanius down there, 230.
Oh yeah, he should be back
with Pereira.
He should be back soon. I guess maybe after the international break. Maybe
if he doesn't, I mean, if he doesn't get called up, at least he's going to get called up for something.
I could, I don't know, maybe Gold Cup. I don't know.
No?
He won't get called up to like the first team for the U.S., but maybe like the Gold Cup team. But I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I guess he's got to played in Austria. Yeah, they kind of want to see him probably. I don't think anyone really even saw any of his games in Austria, so no one really knows. I think the team managed to stay up. I think they were in a relegation battle, and I think like last week they stayed up. But so I mean, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him starting over Tessman maybe after the international break, as he's a little bit more of, I think, like of a 6 than Tessman is. I think he's still kind of more of an 8, but I think he's maybe a little more defensive minded than Tessman is. So I wouldn't sleep on Brandon Cervania. I think he could maybe play a pretty big part in this team pretty soon. But I guess while we're looking ahead, we might as well talk about this upcoming weekend against Colorado. We're going to see Colorado for the second time already, which is kind of crazy considering we're 7 games into the year. And in Colorado, which is obviously never an easy place to play because of altitude and everything. And Colorado's also just a pretty good team now. So it's going to be a tough one for FC Dallas. And I'm not too optimistic. I don't know how y'all feel about it. But I'd be more than happy with stealing a point. Give me a point.
3-1 loss, FC Dallas.
3-1 loss, you gave us a FC goal. Dallas. At least you gave us a goal.
Yeah, I did. Somebody has to score at some point, right?
You know what? I'm going to go optimistic.
I've seen this team not score goals.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Somebody has to score, right?
Man.
No. A lot of times they don't, especially on the road. It's almost by design to not score on the road. I'm going to be optimistic. I'll go 0-0. That's an optimistic look for FC Dallas in 2021 is 0-0.
Holy shit. We're at a goal differential of 0.
That sounds about right. Thank God for that Portland game to help it out. If it wasn't for that damn
Portland game has given us half of our total goals for the year.
And half of our total points for the year, too. Yeah. So,
Dan Hunt, please sell the fucking team.
How many goals total has FC Dallas scored this year?
8.
Okay, cool. So it's counted for half the goals they scored this year, half the points.
I literally just said that. Oh,
that is what you said. My bad. Yeah. So this is why I told everyone, don't overreact to that damn Portland game. Because look, this team sucks. And so,
I mean, here's the thing. Austin FC. Let's see, who has less goals than us? Vancouver, Austin FC, and Minnesota United. Is that really what you want to be lumped? Oh, no, even LAFC has less goals. Well, there you go.
Damn, this is a really tough time for Walter. I'll send your prayers to him right now.
9th place, LAFC.
At least they have an excuse. Their best player has been hurt for pretty much all of the games. FC Dallas's excuse is we're not that good. It doesn't quite work as well as our player, who is probably the best player in the league, has been out hurt. Ours is like the guy that we pay a lot, he's not very good at soccer. That's FC Dallas's issues compared to LAFC. Well, Joe, you want to before we get out here, Joe, you want to make a prediction on the Colorado game?
Well, we usually punt away games, which is kind of why I think Lucci has like one of the worst away records I think I've ever heard any sports team ever have. I think it's something like 4 wins, 4 ties, and like 20 losses or something. It's pretty bad. Christ. It's remarkably horrible.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be one of those ugly games again where FC Dallas, because FC Dallas is one of those teams where like if to need to win a game or pass a test, you need to get it like a 70. They'll give you like a 65 or a 60, and
Ask the teacher to bump it up.
ask the teacher to bump it up.
That's how Dallas operates.
And so I feel like we'll probably lose 2-1 or 1-0 or 2-0.
We're gonna get scored on by Kellen Acosta.
And Barrios.
Kellen Acosta.
Watch Barrios.
And Barrios. There you go. There's
U.S. men's national team, Kellen Acosta now.
And Drew Moore is
good for him, man. I'm happy
score
for him.
one at the end too, just to really shit on it. Drew Moore is gonna grab a goal.
Yeah.
William Yarbrough is going to provide an assist to Michael Barrios.
Oh my goodness, that's
Felipe is the only one who gets assist.
That's a reach. That's a reach.
Only Felipe gets assist around here.
If I give an actual prediction, I'll say 2-1, and I feel like our goal comes from like, I don't know, Hedges O'Brien's shin guard because he was trying to cross the ball and it goes in or something.
It's gonna bounce off his knee and roll into the net. And Hara's gonna try to claim it and run off, celebrates. Well, we did our best to try to keep this one pretty upbeat and not too depressing, but we can only guarantee so much on this podcast. It's a tough time for FC Dallas right now. I'm still hopeful that things will at some point turn around, just because like surely they have to. But I'm definitely less optimistic about that than I was maybe a week or two ago. Hopefully things get turned around quickly, and maybe the next time we sit down to do a podcast, we're talking about I guess it probably won't
the second win of the season.
Yeah, FC Dallas doesn't play again after this weekend for 2 weeks. So I was going to say we're talking about FC Dallas wins, but probably not. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully the U.S. plays well or something. Or Mexico, if that's your thing.
Mexico plays on Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the U.S. plays. Wait, Mexico plays on Saturday night, right? Okay, I was about to say they wouldn't dare schedule. Iceland. They wouldn't dare schedule during the Champions League final.
No, they did.
Oh, wow.
Well, they at least scheduled it at the same time as the FC Dallas game, bastards.
They knew it. They're just trying to save you. You should thank them for that. They're trying to get you away from
because FC Dallas didn't push hard enough for a different slot.
Yeah, what a tough choice to make there.
How many of those Mexico fans do you think even know who FC Dallas are, though, is the question. Because that's who we don't want in our stadium.
Sorry, I just want to make one more point. I think that's the most frustrating part about being an FC Dallas fan is just when you sit back and you realize, what does this team give us? Does it make like if you go to a game, is it entertaining? Do the perks of being a season ticket member are they worth it? Does your club care about fan experience for going and marketing to you? Do you have games that you win? There is nothing that this team gives us, and it just depresses the hell out of me because I'm just like, why? Why am I putting myself through this? And so just to even put an even more negative spin on what has already been like a very sour podcast, like, dude, this team fucking pisses me off, man. And it's just like,
every single time, I've been to almost every single Mexico. I probably say every single time Mexico has played here in some capacity, I have been to every single game. And I tweet this out every single time. We pack out the stadium here in DFW every single time. 80,000 plus people every single time.
For a friendly.
Every single time. For a friendly against fucking Iceland.
Hey, there's a lot of Icelandians here.
I'm excited to meet all 5 of them that managed to live here in the heat. If you're listening,
there's a lot of them because you can hear them doing the clap in the 87th minute.
And not once will you see FC Dallas purchase at least some ad space in that giant ass screen that everybody has to see. Fork out $10,000 for it, even if it's only for 10 seconds, man. Like, just fucking do it. It pisses me off every single time.
Put a little stand out there outside in the parking lot. Yes, put out like a fucking.
Don't bring Tex Hooper. Don't bring Tex Hooper. I have to say, I'm sorry I have to say this. Bring out the FCD girls. bet you there'll be some people that are going to want tickets for them.
Are
And some
those-
pictures.
Are they even a thing anymore? I haven't seen them this year. I think they might have been.
I don't think they could even.
casualty.
I don't think they. I don't,
Yeah, I think they might have gotten
They
the cut.
they probably paid them in like old popcorn and shit, and they
Extra nacho cheese.
They just got.
You know
Papa
what's funny,
John-
though,
They
is
got
that-
expired Papa John's coupons.
fucking last year.
An old Cane's challenge ticket.
That aren't
3 years
aren't
ago.
valid.
No, but
Anyway,
they should hand out tickets because that's actually how they got me. And 15 or 10 years later, I'm right here. So
There you go. Well,
anyway,
hang in
anyways.
there, everybody. Maybe things will get better. Maybe they won't. That's life. It's my depressing end of the podcast. So I guess thanks for listening, and take it easy, y'all. Peace.
group therapy.
peace.
Later. Holy shit.